Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Thomas, and today I'll be presenting on Polaris Industries. I'll be focusing on Polaris's unique approach to outsourcing and final assembly, manufacturing location considerations, and the qualitative factors that influence these strategic decisions. So why does Polaris outsource most component manufacturing but in-source final assembly? Well, Polaris strategically outsources most component manufacturing to reduce costs associated with labor and materials. This allows the company to remain price competitive while still meeting demand for its products. However, Polaris keeps final assembly in-house at its facilities in the Midwest to reinforce its Made in America brand identity, maintain stricter quality control, and ensure compliance with rigorous safety standards required for off-highway vehicles. In contrast, companies like Tesla and Apple pursue near total vertical integration to retain greater control over their supply chains. This approach allows them to protect proprietary technologies, ensure reliability and consistency, and support their premium market positioning. Vertical integration also enables these companies to closely align production with innovation, ensuring their high price points are justified by their quality, exclusivity, and performance their customers expect. So which manufacturing location from the case study offers Polaris the greatest cost savings? Well, from my calculations, it was Mexico. So here are my Excel workbook. This is the first section, exchange and wage rates. Linear forecasting got me 6.4149 for the Chinese yuan to USD. And then the mean from 2005 to 2010 got 11.92 for the pesos. Production costs were the same. These are all based off the numbers from below. I also have tables below this stuff. These are all for my sensitivity analysis. So you'll see a bunch of data tables below that I will explain later. Labor costs. The USA stayed the same. Mexico and China fluctuated depending on these wage growth rates. Use those to extrapolate into all the way out to 2015. Transportation costs. China was based off of this 190. USA and Mexico based off of the $2.30 cost per truck per mile. All down here, the number of trucks needed, depending on their routes. Again, it's all just data analysis below. Tariffs, the first part of the problem just asked about 5% for China. So that's what it's calculating right now. It's just a 5% tariff on China. But with all the tariff talk, I pushed out tariffs all the way to 100% for Mexico and China, and we'll see what happens. So my summary page, after adding the capital investments, the severance for the US, comes out to Mexico as the lowest net present cost, just squeaking out China. So then, getting back to the PowerPoint. So this was my first data analysis table. This one's calculating exchange rates. The exchange rates, if it fluctuates a lot, it actually says a lot. So these lower exchange rates is all USA preferred. Then when the dollar can do more damage in other countries, that's when it can get to Mexico and China. For all these tables coming up, China is this green, USA is blue, and Mexico is this pinkish purple. My daughter helped me with that one. production costs. I did production costs changing, variable changes for China and Mexico and the US. So China and Mexico is the top one. USA and Mexico is the middle one, and then USA and China is the bottom one. From this, you can tell that both China and Mexico production costs have to be drastically high for the USA to be able to compete. That's in that top table. And then the graphs associated just show which country, not one, but is still the strongest depending on the factors. These are the labor wage rates. Mexico labor wage rate is on the Y, China is on the X, just like the production. The China and Mexican labor wage rates must be drastically higher for the USA to compete. Up to 34% for China and about the same for Mexico. Transport cost. So this one was, I bumped up the 190 for China, I bumped it down to 100, and then I bumped it up to 300, and then the cost per truck per mile. The standard is the 230, I went down to 2, and then went up to 5. That one showed a lot. That one's actually just on the cusp of being better for China. As you can see, it's really close. And then tariffs. We're at 5% for China right now. So China's at the X, Mexico's at the Y. I know with the NAFTA agreement, Mexico isn't moving, but there's always tariff talk. So even if Mexico gets up to 15% and China gets up to 15%, the USA is the top dog. So it looks like tariffs could really change a lot with something like this. And then the initial investment, I was mostly curious about this one to see what kind of price it would take for China to get it. If there was some lobbying that could see, it looks like the initial push is 10 million for the Chinese initial investment. If they did 9 million, then China would be the best bet. So it would be 9 million for China and 9,500 for Mexico. Or 8,500. So overall, out of all of those data analysis, all of those different programs, Mexico had it came out on top most of the time. It's about half of all of those analysis showed that Mexico. So I do not reconsider my initial recommendation. Mexico is still, from all the data analysis I did, Mexico is still the best contender. So what other factors? So when evaluating potential manufacturing locations, Krishna and his team should weigh several qualitative factors beyond cost and efficiency. First, geographic proximity to the U.S. operation enables easier face-to-face. Second, customer demand trends in Southern Texas and Southern California suggest that a Mexico-based facility could provide a strategic advantage in serving those high-growth markets. Additionally, cultural and regional alignment in Mexico may help Polaris strengthen brand adoption and customer loyalty in Latin America, which is a growing market for Polaris. A key consideration is the potential erosion, though, of Polaris's Made in America image. The company's heritage, rooted in the Heaton brothers and David Johnson, innovating for everyday American needs, is a central part of its brand identity. Expanding fennel assembly to Mexico or China, it could negatively affect customer perception at its core U.S. market. So to conclude, Polaris uses a balanced strategy, outsourcing most component manufacturing to save costs while keeping final assembly in-house to protect quality and heritage. For the moving, the decision isn't just about cost, it's about aligning supply chain strategy with Polaris's long-standing reputation for innovation, quality, and American identity. Thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to answer any